Yeah, what I'm doing here they call cultivating. It's not cultivating at all in the correct sense of the word, but these are jungle people. They call it cultivating. What are you gonna do? That's what they call it. All I'm doing here is I'm clearing this area with my machete just to make it look pretty. I'm not planning to plant anything here, but yeah, this is cultivating. Yeah, well, he's doing that. I'm going to tell you about the praying mantis. The praying mantis is the freakiest insect I've ever seen. It's like about the size of your hand and green. And I was stood at the front of the house one time, this was a few years ago, and in the town, and some kids were carrying one around and passing it between them. The praying mantis seemed to be quite happy about this. It didn't have no sign of any stress with it. They were treating it like a pet, carrying it round. And the real reason that the praying mantis was happy as it was is because in its creepy little praying mantis hands, it had half a big black beetle. Only half a beetle because it had eaten the other half, and its kind of guts were hanging out. It looked quite disgusting. And hang on a second, he's coming back. He's probably going to harp on something about Ishanga. Yeah. This is called Ishanga. Ishanga's a jungle grade nettle, and it grows everywhere. And I swear it's got a life of its own. It's a bramble, and it has thorns growing all along its trunk as it grows along, and the leaves as well. And if you touch either of them, it hurts like hell. You're not going to end up in hospital or anything like that, but it's another good reason why you should be using a gancho to grab at what you couldn't instead. There's a tendency with the Ishanga, or in the early days when I didn't know it, is to cut along the ground below it to cut it off at its base near the roots, so it won't grow back so much. But the sneaky little twat actually grows along the ground. So when you cut along the ground, you cut underneath its trunk, and you carry on, and you think you're okay. You've got to cut it from above. That's what you end up that's what you end up learning. But then you grab it with the gancho, and it whips around and gets you on the arm, or even worse, sticks to your clothes, because you can't grab it to get it off your clothes. You got to find a stick or something. So yeah, Ishanga. Yeah. Anyway, where was I? As I had this half a beetle, and it was chewing away, and the kids just placed it on the back of this chair, and because it was just sat there normally, I don't like insects, but you know, I've kind of toughened up as I've got here, because since coming here, because there are so many insects here, and there are big insects as well. And if you dance around like a little girl, like I used to whenever I saw an insect, then you spend your whole life dancing around. So yeah, I had to toughen up. So anyway, I'm decided I want a good look at this insect while it's sat on the back of a chair eating a beetle, and the thing that freaked me out about it most of all is the praying mantis has got a neck. It's got a neck. And I've never seen an insect before with a neck. And it wasn't so much the neck that freaked me out. It was the fact that as I bent down and had a look at it, it actually turned its head and looked at me with its little beady praying mantis eyes, as if to say, "Hey, I'm eating here." And I tell you, freakiest thing I ever did see. And now, oh look, he's coming back. He's gonna. I'm guessing he's gonna tell you about Bihao this time. This is this is an interesting plant. This is called Bihao, This is just a little baby one, and when you're cultivating, if you cut it off above the ground, it just grows again where it was. What you've got to try and do is stick your machete in to cut it off below the ground, and hopefully it won't grow back. But even then, it's got a root system below it grows back. It grows everywhere. Now, I'm treating this plant like it's a weed, but it's not actually a weed. It's a useful plant. It has its uses. And here we can see we've got some large ones. It takes about a year for them to get to this size, but the women use the leaf to wrap around bowls of savoury rice. And in the savoury rice, they'll put maybe half an egg, an olive, and a piece of chicken, and wrap it all up in this leaf, and then boil that in water to cook it together. So they use it for cooking. They'll wrap fish around it to grill fish without risking burning the fish. And I often cut the stick away to use it to stir things, from stirring some soup, that kind of thing. So the plant has its uses, but fortunately it grows everywhere. So it's okay to cut it away where you're cultivating. No big deal. This weed is a pain in the ass. When I was first told about it, somebody told me that it's a weed that doesn't know how to die. They call it nudillo, and nudillo is a Spanish word, and it kind of irritates me that they call it nudillo because it's a Spanish word that means knuckle. That's because it's got these little knuckles along its length, you see. The problem is when you cut this away and throw it down, it sprouts little roots from the knuckles and grows again. So you think you've dealt with it, but when you come back the next time to cultivate, you've got a ton of this stuff all around. So I think your narrator guy is going to explain more about that, because I'm going to get on with my cultivating. Yeah, there is a little bit of a story attached to the nudillo, and that's I was told by the owner of the land that if you cut it with your machete and throw it to one side, it'll just sprout out new roots and carry on growing. It's a weed that doesn't know how to die, is the way it was described by him. He said what you've got to do is when you're doing your cultivating, you've got to build a little campfire, and any nudillo you come across, you need to throw it on the fire. I thought that's a bit of a pain in the ass, because it's not an easy job to make a fire here. There's a lot of damp on the ground, there's a lot of humidity in the air. There's a lot of trouble to go through just to make sure that this nudillo doesn't propagate. And then somebody else told me about it and came up with an even better idea. His idea was that you should put it in a sack. So you pull it up by its roots, put it in a sack, and then take the sack to the river and pour the sack out in the river. Yeah, good idea, wouldn't you say? But then I actually had to think about it myself, because it's not really a good idea, because I mean, putting these weeds in a sack and taking them over to the river to throw them in there, that's a hell of a waste of time. There's got to be a better way of doing it. And what I realised is that the nudillo, it won't put roots out if it's not in contact with soil. So all you need to do is find somewhere to dump the stuff where it's off the ground. And one of the things you can do is you can pile it up on top of platano leaves, for example, because they won't put down roots through the platano leaf. So yeah, that's what I do. But to be perfectly honest, I'm often quite lazy, and if you're cultivating a large area, there's a lot of effort involved in pulling the nudillo up by its roots. So yeah, I just hack it with a machete and accept that the next time I come along, I'm going to still have more of the nudillo to deal with.